Welcome back to another episode of Connecting Women in Insurance with me, your host, Julie. If you will, please like and subscribe to your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss any future episodes. I'm very excited to introduce to you Miss Leila Taha, who has two titles actually. She is the Executive Director of the National Flood Association and the Chief Operating Officer of Joe Flood Insurance Brokerage. Hey Leila, I'm so glad you could join me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Julie. Really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. So, you are the first person I've had on that has two titles and
Yeah.
does two different things, sort of. So, if you will, tell me a little bit about your day to day, what you do, how you juggle or manage that along with family or whatever.
Yeah. So for about the last year and a half, I have had this two gig situation, which is a departure from what I've done in the past, which is, kind of worked for a company full time, and then also had volunteered for the National Flood Association for 20 plus years of my career so far. So this is new for me, still kind of working on navigating it and working on balance. But it's a great opportunity for me to dedicate myself more formally to the association, which has been growing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really, really exciting to see how the association has been evolving. So it's been just so nice to be able to dedicate more time to that. But also, being able to work with people that I've known for more than a decade at Joe Flood Insurance Brokerage and help them with their small and growing rapidly company. So it's been really good.
That is really cool. So, with the National Flood Association, as the executive director, do you just kind of oversee everything, or is there specific things that you are?
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So as the executive director, I'm sort of like the general manager, so to speak,
Okay.
of the association. So we have a board of directors that are
Mm-hmm.
elected, and we have a president who is more of that sort of strategic leadership role.
Got it.
And I participate in the strategic leadership as well, but also kind of oversee the day to day and the maintenance of things and making sure that, we have all of our subscriptions and kind of overseeing committees and
Nice.
communications and all of that sort of thing. And it's nice for the association to have a sort of stable point of contact for the
Mm-hmm.
association as we have annual elections for the board of directors, and those people can change. So to have kind of a main point of contact and, be able to establish relationships with other trade organizations and with FEMA and
Mm-hmm.
those others that we work with, and for them to have that consistency and that stability with, okay, I know who to reach out to. Even though the board changes, I have my point of contact. We know who the executive director
Right.
is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I do for the association, and I'm happy to talk more about what the association is doing if you're interested in that. But additionally, for Joe Flood Insurance Brokerage, I'm overseeing operations, so it's more like policy administration, customer service, helping with sort of growth of the programs that Joe Flood is administering, because they're now, they're a cover holder, and so we're kind of growing those programs, and so helping with that. I also help a little bit with some of the marketing and the collateral materials and things like that, doing some design on that. So yeah, wearing a lot lot of hats,
Yeah.
but
Staying
keeps
busy.
things interesting. Yeah, staying busy. So it keeps things
Okay.
interesting for sure.
So let me ask you, when you got out of college or high school or whatever, did you think, "Oh, I just want a career in insurance," or did you fall into it like most of the rest of us?
Right. I was going to say, does anybody,
Actually,
say I
yes.
really want to be insurance?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
There are a few out
There
there.
are
There
a
are a few.
few.
Yeah. So yes, the question is no. That was not my goal. Um, When I was starting college, I really thought that I was going to pursue a career in design of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy art. I always have, and so I thought, this would be my passion. This
Mm-hmm.
is where I want to spend my time. But I wasn't entirely sure what exactly I wanted to do. And of course, there's this little bug in my ear, which was probably my dad, but saying that, hey, you can't make money as an artist, that kind of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So times have changed, and people are kind of pursuing that, I think, earlier
Right.
on, right? And finding that they can
Oh, yes.
be successful in fields like that. So I was. I was thinking that I would do more instead of fine art, maybe I do design, like I would do graphic design or interior design or something
Okay.
like that. And so I started to pursue that, and then I was struggling with maybe finding a program that fit me, and I was nervous about being creative on demand, and I
Mm.
thought, uh-oh, maybe this is not my path. So I had actually switched colleges. I had started at one, and then I changed colleges to pursue this degree. And then I was like, nope, it's not for me. I'm going back to the original college. And I ended up taking some classes in environmental science,
Mm-hmm.
and so kind of a significant departure from art and design. But
Yes.
I was so inspired by this study of the state of our world and how humans have impacted it, and kind of understanding distribution of plants and animals, and how humans have affected those things,
Mm-hmm.
and what that does to our environment and to our world, and et cetera. So I then pursued a degree in environmental science, and got my degree in geography, concentrating more on biogeography, so sort of on more of the plants and animals side of
Mm-hmm.
things. And then I graduated and thought, okay, well, I don't think this is enough education to be able to actually do anything with this. Like, great, I love plants and animals. What am I going to do with that? So I was thinking about going back and getting my master's degree, but I hadn't decided
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to study. So in the meantime, I was waiting tables at a restaurant, and which is, a job that I think everybody should do at some point
Everybody
in
should
their
do,
lives.
at least for 3 weeks. Yes.
Yeah, at least.
Everyone should have to do it.
So many skills, right, that you learn.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Yes. And you were
doing
a
that job.
much better tipper after the fact.
100%.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. And you have such an appreciation for what those
Mm-hmm.
people have to deal with, right, on a regular
Oh,
basis.
yes.
So I was waiting tables, and that was the point when my father was kind of like, look, I'm interestingly enough, and I will, continue to date myself probably throughout this conversation, but he found an ad in a newspaper for a
Mm-hmm.
position under the geography category, and he's like, it's perfect for you because this was your major, right? And I'm like, how did you find this? How does this even exist? And it was for a flood research position, doing flood zone determinations for a small company out here in Los Angeles. And so I applied. I'm like, sure, what the heck? It was a major cut in pay because, whenever you're waiting tables and you're bringing tips home and et cetera, it's a much better salary than $8 an hour to, work full time and research flood
Right.
zones. So anyway, but I'm like, okay, cool. I need some real world experience here in an office. So let me do that. And 30 years later, I'm still in the flood industry. So I did not think I would last that long in flood, to be honest. I mean, it was interesting, my learning about flood maps, learning about
Mm-hmm.
the FEMA program. It was a time when the legislation had changed for lending institutions to strengthen their compliance, regulatory compliance requirements. So the company was growing by leaps and bounds. So I was able to grow within the company very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
moving up into more supervisory management roles, being able to get involved in the development of the company's proprietary systems and things like that. And then, eventually being able to also get involved with the National Flood Association. It was the National Flood Determination Association at the time, which really helped to broaden my understanding of the industry and get to know other people in the industry and what their experiences were, have some opportunity to work with FEMA. And so that really helped to kind of, broaden my skill set, broaden my horizons, and, allowed me to be more engaged, really, with the job that I was doing and, being more forward thinking about what I could do in the future, in my career. So,
That's pretty cool. So the education, the your degree in the you just said it, the geography.
yeah,
Did and I'm being serious. Did that
yeah,
actually help you in that first job? Like, I mean,
yeah,
because
yeah,
you
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I'm saying.
It's a
Some
great
people
question.
get a job in what I mean, a degree in something, and then they go get a job thinking that's why I got this degree, and they realize the two don't really have a whole lot to do with each other.
Right, right. Initially I felt like, okay, well, maps, I mean, sure, like I'm reading maps. Maps are cool. I like maps. Okay, great. But initially, I may not have recognized the connection, I guess. But what was interesting was that when I was in college and I was taking some courses, and I took a couple of courses in hydrology, and I was actually very fascinated by the study of water
Mm-hmm.
and you know how water finds its way, across the land, and how infrastructure impacts where the
Mm-hmm.
water goes, right? And I also studied. I ended up doing my kind of final senior project on wildfire in Southern California and how wildfire impacted the potential for mud flows and
Mm-hmm.
flooding later on. And so all of that started kind of coming together, and I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. And I can kind of talk the talk,
Mm-hmm.
with certain people, depending on how scientific we want to get about flooding. But I'm able to kind of, relate some of what I learned in college. So that was actually, it was a surprise. It wasn't
That's
at all
cool.
expected. Yeah.
I like that. That's pretty
Yeah.
neat. Um, okay, so in all of this, your career path, did you ever make a mistake or a decision and you thought, I'm done, gonna have to start over? It, art school, here I come again. I mean,
Yeah.
did, but you learned a really valuable lesson that helped you later in your career, or even you were able to use to help someone else.
Yes. I mean, over 30 years, you make a lot of maybe little missteps. In a lot of cases, I would say that, I mean, they were all learning experiences, right?
Oh yes,
Any kind of misstep or error or mistake or whatever, there you learn from them, and you hope to be better,
right.
after that. I one situation actually comes to mind, which was fairly early in my time working in flood and flood zone determinations. Um, I was a new manager, and it was my first management job, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I had just sort of like grown up for a short period of time in that organization, and I was managing. And at the time, again, dating myself, we didn't have computers for everybody. We had some
Right,
shared computers, but it was time, and I was trying to convince the powers that be that we really, my staff needs computer. Everybody needs a computer
right.
now, each person. So, I sent what I thought was a very thoughtful email to my boss, who was one of the founders of the company, and probably in the president role or something like that, explaining, why we needed the computers, and thinking like it's a no-brainer. I mean, he should
Right.
approve these computers. And he came back asking more questions, and I came back with more justification, and then he came back, and there was this back and forth through email, which, one thing I've learned is that after a couple of, exchanges, it's time to have a conversation in person,
Right.
right? But I did the, really bad move of responding in all caps when I when I finally kind of thought, dude, I mean, I've given you all the justification. Come on, So I did that, and then I received a "we need to talk,"
Uh-oh.
email. So so now I've got this meeting scheduled where I have to now go and speak with him one on one, which again I should have done sooner, but I didn't. And I was very nervous, and again, especially as a new manager, and I'm trying to find my way, and realizing, yeah, that was probably not the right thing to do, but it's too late. I've already, water under the bridge. Um, the funny thing, so just to add a little color to this story, is that the day that I had the meeting with my boss about his concerns for my behavior and response, it happened to be Halloween. And so we were all dressed up, and I looked fabulous in my cave woman costume with my hair up to here. And not to mention that I had at least doubled the size of my eyebrows, right? So the very like large, bushy eyebrows. I'm in this like animal skin looking thing with bone necklace, all of this. And now I have to go talk to my boss about the unacceptable email that I sent to him. And I'm sitting there, I go in and I'm sitting there, and it was such an opportunity for some like levity and humor, and there was none. And he, at the end, I mean, he was disappointed in my response, and we agreed that going forward I would not respond that way and we would work better together. But in the meantime, I'm sitting there looking like this and thinking, he's not saying anything, I'm not saying anything, I'm so uncomfortable, this is weird,
Oh my God,
So,
that's awesome.
I mean, you can just picture it,
I
right?
can.
It's just,
Oh God.
and interestingly, just on as a kind of, several years later,
Mm-hmm.
he was no longer with the company, and he sent me an email and just said, "Hey, I was thinking of you, and just thought I'd reach out, see how you're doing." I was like, "Oh, that's really nice." And then I realized, oh my God, it's Halloween. And he never said, "I remember you sitting there," and you're like, nothing was ever said, but I feel like, oh my God, I feel like this is maybe gonna live out there forever.
I,
So
I love that.
anyway, yeah.
That's pretty
So
awesome.
so what did I learn from that? One, do not schedule your meetings on, serious meetings on Halloween if you're going to dress up. Number one. But more importantly, face-to-face conversations are just so invaluable, really. And there are just times when you just cannot convey what you need to convey. You can't work out what you need to work out by email. So, having those one-on-one conversations are the key to success.
Yes, I agree because there's so there's so much more to the conversation than just the words. There's the tone, there's the body language, there's being able
Yes.
to kind of read each other and realize, oh no, I think you're misunderstanding. Like, but in emails, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I don't
For
feel
sure.
so bad about ending meetings with my boss when he says share your screen and I click the red thing and then I have to log back in.
Yeah.
Fun times. Um, happens
You
a
heard
lot.
that.
Um, okay, that was pretty awesome. Okay, so who was or is the most influential person in your personal life and career, and why?
Yeah, I struggle with I struggle with selecting one,
Oh, you can select more than one.
I would say that probably both. So for For personal life and career, I mean, my father has been probably my biggest inspiration. He was an immigrant who came to this country, going to school, working multiple jobs. He's always been such a hard worker. He has always instilled in myself and my brother, the value of hard work and the value of earning, what you achieve. And so I really feel like, he's definitely in my personal life been my biggest inspiration as far as how I then navigate, my career and my life. And additionally, as far as a big inspiration or one of the most significant mentors in my career has been Cheryl Small, who was the former executive director of the association and someone I've known for the better part of my career, for several decades. But she really helped me to navigate sort of the industry challenges that we encounter with the association and how to work with groups, because it's very different working with people who are your peers, colleagues, competitors
Mm-hmm.
versus working with your coworkers within an organization, right? And so she really helped me to understand how to navigate that, how to navigate working with FEMA, especially because there were a lot of challenges with working through some of the misconceptions of what happened in the industry and, how to deal with the political aspects
Mm-hmm.
of the, working through situations, and especially when there were some, potentially hot issues, I guess, that we were working with. Some things that may have been a bit, I don't want to say controversial, but if we were calling out FEMA on some errors in their mapping or some things in the process that weren't working well, how do I navigate the political environment there with FEMA and help them to understand where we're coming from, and to really establish this environment of collaboration and cooperation as opposed to it being a kind of finger pointing type session.
Right.
But she has been, yeah, so not only just such a great teacher, but a really good mentor and supporter of mine, and really the reason that I'm still with the association and the reason that I'm in this role currently is because of her. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome. I'm telling you, there's you think the word insurance and you just kind of, but the
yeah,
truth is, it could not be a better industry to be in because so many people are willing to help you and mentor you, and even if it's for just a moment or if
hmm,
it's for your entire career, like there are people who are really willing, and that's
yeah,
awesome that you've had that constant. That's amazing.
yes, yeah, it's
Um,
been great.
so, what advice would you give to women listening who want to move forward in their careers, no matter what the industry is?
Yeah, I'm good at giving lots of advice. I could probably think of many things I'd like to give advice about, but I think that the one thing that really comes to mind is be yourself. I think it's very easy to lose yourself in corporate life, trying to advance, trying to figure out what you need to be
Mm-hmm.
to advance your career, right? And at the end of the day, it's more important to be true to yourself, to be yourself in your role, to help people understand who you are, what your personality is, and not try to bend or conform to what you think the company wants, right? Which may not be at all. Your interpretation of that may be completely incorrect. But I find that there is such value to honesty and transparency in our work and in our personalities, and to just be who you are. And if that's silly, it's quirky, it's whatever, at the end of the day, you establish better working relationships with people because you're being honest with them and honest with yourself about who you are.
That that's excellent advice. That really is. Authenticity is 100% everything. Like it's
I
very
agree.
important. I love that.
Agreed.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some fun questions.
Okay. Ready?
So just off the top of your head, answer. There is no right or wrong. Um, and we'll go through several of these. If given a chance, what job would you love to try?
That's a really good question. I would probably I would probably go, goodness, I would probably go back to some of my love of art, right? And see if I could make a go at my own business of creating something. And there are a few things that I would have in mind, but I think that's maybe something I would like to pursue. See that if I could be successful as an artist.
I love that. So
So
this is not in any part of this, but
yeah.
um, what type of art?
So there are a lot of different things that I've dabbled with. One of the things that was really resonated with me the last few years was wood carving, and I actually made a series of wooden spoons. And if any of my friends who know that I was doing that are listening, they are going to be probably scolding me because I regularly get the "How is the spoon making going? When are you going to do that? When do I get my spoon?" The whole thing. So they're probably going to like slap me on the hand a little bit for like, okay, you keep talking about it, but where are those spoons?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. I really enjoy. I enjoy drawing and just other types of creating. I think I would probably kind of start with the wood carving and then see where that went from there. So
Yeah,
that'd be my starting point.
my youngest daughter has wanted to get into that. We've bought a few tools. We
Nice.
found a really nice saw at an estate sale, but um, I would I would like to do that, but she won't let me have sharp have sharp saws or anything since the chainsaw
I
accident.
see.
But
Oh,
it's fine.
we need to talk about that.
But
Chainsaw.
yeah, art is it's wonderful. Like I discovered a couple years ago that I actually can paint, and I enjoy that. And
Amazing.
I've
Yeah.
tried pottery, which is
Mm-hmm.
amazing, and I like glass blowing. I've tried that.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but
That's
I would
that's
like to do
wonderful.
some woodworking, and so I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to expect a spoon.
Okay. I'll add you to the list.
So are you doing like coffee
Yeah.
spoons or serving spoons, or do we
So I
get to
did
put our
actually.
request in?
Um, the ones that I made were more like cooking spoons, and several of them were quite long,
Mm-hmm.
actually, as well. And
That's
yeah,
nice.
so it's yeah, so what I love about it is that it's not only, in my opinion, beautiful, and it is a work of art, but at the same time, it's utilitarian, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
it's not something that's just going to collect dust on your shelf. It's something you can use,
Mm-hmm.
and something that's very practical and something that growing up, we had a lot of people have wooden spoons. It wasn't just me, but there were wooden spoons in my house that we had for years and years and years. And those were always our go tos for
Mm-hmm.
cooking. And I feel like they sort of develop some personality over
They
time,
do.
as they're worn and you love them and you have good memories of cooking with them and everything. And so that was, kind of my thought as to something that would be practical and beautiful as well.
I will send you a picture of one that I found at an estate sale, but you may want to
Hmm.
think about this. It's a long handled spoon, and
Hmm.
it's kind of oval shaped and cupped.
Okay.
But on one side there's holes, so like you can like
Oh,
beans, like you
yeah,
scoop
yeah,
your
yeah.
beans or your
Hmm.
turnips or whatever, and the
Yeah,
juice drains out, and then you
yeah.
can put it on your
That's great.
plate. It's pretty cool.
It's
I've
super
never
cool.
seen one like it before, and I snatched it up.
Yeah, nice. See, and you love it and
I
you
do.
use it all the
I do.
time. So,
I have two other pieces. One's a flat spoon, and one's one of those. Is it called a spatula or whatever? It's kind of pointy on
oh,
one end.
okay.
Okay,
Hmm.
and they're made from pecan wood. They don't go in the
Nice.
dishwasher. They're only hand washed,
Yep.
and I use those for canning when I make my jams and
Okay.
sauces and things like that. I just
Yeah.
those don't touch those. Those are mine.
Yeah.
But I do love
I hear
those.
you.
I think that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, so okay, if you could have any animal in the world, what would it be and why?
Like as a pet
Hmm.
or okay. Okay.
Yeah, just any
Um,
animal. Like there's
any
no
animal.
limits.
I recently saw a video with this little bush baby, these little fluffy creatures, and they're so cute and they hop. And they're and I love how they hop and I love to just watch them. So maybe that's what I would get. And it's small, so it doesn't
Right.
take up a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I might be cuddly. That I could go for that. So yeah, bush baby it is.
There you go. Okay. What is your what is your biggest pet peeve?
I would say dishonesty.
Okay.
Um, and I especially in the workplace, if people are not being open and
Mm-hmm.
honest about a situation, especially if there's a problem, how
Right.
can we correct the problem? How can we navigate through this situation that we're in if we're not honest with one another? So I think honesty is very dishonesty is definitely a pet peeve. I mean, another one is, and I've encountered this so many times, as especially as I've changed jobs, that there might be individuals in the company who are tech professionals or whatever, and then I come in and I'm asking questions, but I'm not a tech professional. So then there is this assumption that I'm, like, oh, you couldn't possibly understand this, because so I don't like the assumption that I don't know something or that I can't understand
Mm-hmm.
something. Don't assume that. So then that becomes a challenge, of course, and then I have to prove to them that I am more than capable of understanding. But yeah, that kind of assumption that somebody is maybe incapable of understanding something just because perhaps they're not in a particular role or they don't
Right.
have a particular education. So
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. Yeah. You could always whip out an old map and say, read this, and then get back to me. Because the maps while you were driving, that was difficult. If you can do
hey,
that, you can do anything. I
for
just
sure,
I just
for
remember
sure.
doing those.
I
Um,
did too. I did too. In fact, when I interviewed for the position doing flood zone determinations, they handed me a Thomas guide, which is more of a West Coast, I think,
mm-hmm.
kind of map booklet. I don't know that they had them all over, but I had that thing in my car for years.
Mm-hmm.
I would reference that, and so when they handed me the Thomas guide, I'm like, oh, piece of cake. I can
Right.
read this thing.
Paper map and payphones.
Yeah.
We
Oh yeah.
survived.
We did survive. How did we survive? I have no
Common sense. Um, okay. If one more, if you could master any language immediately, what would it be and why?
It would be Arabic. And that's because I have a lot of family in the Middle East.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
What part?
so that's all over.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I have I have family in Lebanon, in Jordan, in the UAE, like Abu Dhabi,
Okay.
Dubai area. Yeah, so they're kind of spread out all over, but yeah, that would be my choice
My
for sure.
grandmother was from okay. So there's two different versions of this. My mom says she was from Syria, but my grandmother says she's from Lebanon. But
Really,
based on features and bone structure, I lean more towards Syria and temper. Um, but or
temper,
temperament.
girl, it is all. I'm
But
telling you, in the Arab world, there we all have tempers. I'm
yeah,
telling you.
but she
It's just-
I just I God, I used to love going and visiting in the summers. She was in Virginia, and she would can all their food. Like they had fruit trees, gardens, everything, and she taught me how to make stuffed shells, which is essentially
Okay.
lasagna,
Yeah.
whatever. But standing by your grandma and she just kind of handful of this and a dash of this and whatever. I still
Yeah.
I make it that way to this day. It's delicious.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
um,
No, that's the best. That's the way to learn. And they never have recipes. I mean, I was just visiting my dad for Thanksgiving,
mm-hmm,
for the Thanksgiving week, and he cooks everything by texture, by
mm-hmm,
sight, by I think that's about enough,
yeah,
this kind of thing. And it's we were just talking about some food this week.
mm-hmm,
Just I said, oh, so how do you make this? And he's like, I have no recipes. Why are you asking me this? But it's yeah, it's very special. It's
it
special to
is.
be able to learn that and then to
Mm-hmm.
be able to pass that down.
Oh yeah,
So
it is. It's a memory I'll never forget. And
yeah.
a friend of I know it's kind of off topic, but a friend of mine's mother-in-law, she was from Italy. Like she was
Mm,
old school, not any popular, just back in rural Italy, and she hardly spoke any English. Miss Rose, sweetest woman in the world. I loved her, and she taught me how to make pizzelles. And
mm,
now I have a pizzelle press, but she had the sculpted iron, and you dipped it in the
mm,
dough, and you dipped it in the,
mm-hmm.
and so we spent the afternoon doing that. And about a year later, she passed away. But I have all that. Like it's it's
Love that.
something you just take with you. Those are moments you never want to forget.
It is, it's true. And one thing that I really hang on to as well is the experience of learning with the person,
Mm-hmm.
and how do they describe what the process is or what the
Right.
steps are
Mm-hmm.
and I remember my dad, there's this one particular dish that he would make pretty regularly that was a very simple thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like lentils and rice, and you add onions, and he would tell me, he says, so, you need to saute the onions in olive oil. And I said, okay, well, how much olive oil do I add? He goes, just don't be stingy with it. Like this is the amount. Don't be stingy equals the amount of olive oil
Right.
that you add. And so, and I just remember that. So every time I make it, I think of him saying that,
Yeah.
and I kind of think about like, am I being stingy with the olive oil as I'm pouring it in? And so,
But that's true. I mean
yeah,
that really is.
yeah, it's lovely.
Anyway, good times.
Yeah.
All right. So, what direction do you think the next leg of your journey will take you on, personally and or professionally? Like I know you're kind of new to the Joe Flood position, year and a half, 2 years, but as far as down the road, where do you kind of see yourself going?
Yeah, so for the time being, I'm kind of sticking with this arrangement, and we'll see how it plays out. I love working with the Joe Flood crew. I am particularly excited about continuing with the National Flood
Mm-hmm.
Association because, again, I really feel that the organization is evolving so much, and the membership is growing and
Mm-hmm.
diversifying, and there are just so many opportunities I feel to collaborate with so many within the industry to think about how we can affect positive change. And so I'm really excited to continue that journey with the National Flood Association. Personally, I am an active practitioner of yoga, and I'm currently taking a certification course for qigong. I don't know if
Okay.
you're familiar with
I've
that.
heard of it.
Yeah, so it looks similar to Tai Chi.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ancient Chinese movement
Mm-hmm.
pattern, and it's incredible for maintaining health and energizing the body and helping things flow properly in your body, and providing, it's very very calm and meditative as well. And so I might end up teaching at some point, maybe after I'm done taking that course, and that's something that I'm looking forward to. I think as we age, it's we kind of think about our health. How do we maintain our health and
Mm,
our mobility? And so I'm very interested in how can I share that and share my experience with my health and my mobility practices with other people to help
right.
them as they age. So yeah, so that's just something that's kind of on my mind that I'm thinking that I may pursue, and yeah, looking forward to that as well.
I think it's good to have things other than work. I mean, like, we
Agreed.
can get so wrapped up in our jobs that we forget who we are, and
Yeah,
then we don't enjoy our jobs anymore. So I think that's
yeah,
fantastic that you have these other outlets, and I'm going
yeah,
to get a
agreed.
spoon. Um,
Yeah,
and yes, the National Flood Association is really neat. Like, that's how we met. And
yeah,
I'm kind of new to it, but I am enjoying it. And everybody is so
yeah.
nice and so willing to answer questions and very patient. And but there's so much information and so much to learn. There are so many
There is.
facets to the flood industry that it's just it's really mind-boggling because you think, oh, it's just flood and it's just insurance. No, it's way more
Right.
than that.
It's
So
way more. Yeah.
yeah, so I haven't. I'm glad I got to meet you, and I have enjoyed being on the committees I'm on and learning from just some extraordinary people. Um,
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you've gotten involved and you've been able to see that. And I feel like it's a learning process for all of us. It's an ongoing learning process for
yes.
all of us. I mean, I've been in the flood industry for 30 years now, and yet I'm still learning new
Mm-hmm.
things. I'm still getting to know about what happens on the claims side of things, what
Mm-hmm.
happens on the mitigation side of things that then impact the flood insurance and
Mm-hmm.
impact, our regulations and various aspects of the industry. So it's really everything is so interconnected, and we all need to be continuing to talk and to collaborate as
Mm-hmm.
much as we can for the betterment of the industry as a whole. So it's
Oh,
um,
I
it's a
agree.
great opportunity, great journey, to continue. And so yeah, so I'm really glad that you're involved, that your company is a member, and I'm looking forward to being able to work with you more in the association.
Me too. So as we come to a close, do you have any final remarks? If there's one takeaway you would want people listening to really get, what would it be?
Well, I admire you for doing this podcast and for connecting women, and I think that we need to do that more. Women should be supporting women in the
Mm-hmm.
workplace and in life.
Mm-hmm.
And we all get very busy, and sometimes we're thinking about our own careers and we're not always paying it forward as we should. And so I love again that you're doing this, and this is an opportunity for women to connect and talk about their experiences in the workplace and in their personal lives. And we should continue the conversation. So yeah, really
Well,
appreciate it.
you're welcome, and thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And I want to thank all of you for joining me on another episode of Connecting Women in Insurance. If you will, please like and subscribe below and join us next time.